Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Share with the Donor Family Care Network. My name is Cindy Grobmeier, and I am a donor mom. And today I'm really honored to be speaking with my daughter Maddie's gymnastics coach and her second dad, Jim Fredrickson, about his experiences with our daughter Maddie and with her journey and our journey to donation. Thanks for joining us today, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to let you tell the story. Tell us a little bit about Maddie's history with gymnastics and with gym kinetics and with you and what her personality was like.
Well, Maddie came to us, as you know, as just a little kid and came into our preschool program. I believe her first classes were with you in our mom and tot classes. And then from there, she went into our normal preschool programs without a parent. And when she did that, we recognized that she was a little more advanced physically than most kids her age. So shortly after she was in some of our preschool classes, she was asked to be a part of our developmental team program, which is our pre-team. And upon being in our pre-team, we found that Maddie was one of those type of kids that was easy to be recognized. She had a very outgoing personality. Even though I didn't really work with her a whole lot at that time, she would always make it a point to say hello to me, and I'd get a hug every once in a while from her. And she was just that kind of kid. Um, she just enjoyed life. Really, is kind of what it was, and she loved doing gymnastics. And she was one of those little ones that we look for that likes to be recognized, because this sport is one that takes a lot of I don't want to say guts, I guess kind of guts, because you go out there and you got to perform in front of people, and she kind of liked doing that. And um, she she demanded your attention, and that's kind of how we got to know her a little bit in the gym. And she wasn't necessarily our top kid. She was kind of normal, like a lot of the other little kids that we bring into our pre-team. But the thing that was a little bit different than her is her personality. You couldn't help but notice her, and we weren't necessarily noticing her a whole lot different because of her gymnastics abilities, which were good. But we noticed her a little bit more because of her personality. And from our developmental team, she quickly, started getting into our competitive program, and she did very well in our competitive program. Better than some, and some did a little bit better than her. But it was always that personality that stuck out about her. And as she started to grow in the program a little bit and got just a little bit older, I think one of my first, I don't want to call it encounters, but discussions I had with her that I really kind of remember being at a meet. And it wasn't right away when I was working with her, because I had this conversation a couple times with her, but I noticed that she was always worried about everybody else except herself. So one of the first conversations I really had was a heart to heart with her, saying that, when we go to meets, it's great to be a great teammate and everything, but you have to try to not only help your teammates, but you got to focus on yourself a little bit more. And I think that was one of her biggest struggles. As she got older, she got a little bit better at it as far as focusing on what she needed to do herself. But she never stopped worrying about the other kids on our team, and she eventually became a leader on our team. And it probably was slightly after her sophomore year in high school when her gymnastics really started to come out of her. I mean, she always did pretty well, but she was never really a standout before then. And all of a sudden, I don't know, sometimes kids click sooner, sometimes kids click later, but when she clicked, things really started rolling really well. And not only did she become a leader with her voice in our team, but she became a leader because of her gymnastics in our facility also.
Yeah, I remember when she got offered the Division I scholarship at UIC. Peter had said that her best gymnastics was still ahead of her, and he could see that. And
I wholeheartedly believe that.
yeah,
there's probably the majority of the club kids that make it through the club program and end up doing Division I gymnastics. A lot of them that go to Division I programs, they still do very well. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of them peak early on, and Maddie was peaking a little bit later than most, and she probably would have done a lot better in college. Not that she didn't do good with us; she did very well, but she had a lot left in her to learn going off to college.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, and that's sort of her gymnastics history. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about her personal history with you. At the Donor Family Care Network, we like to say that donor families aren't always just by DNA. Donor families are donor families by love, and that was kind of your relationship with her. You were her coach, but you were much more than that. You were like her second dad. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship?
Well, maybe a little bit of background as far as I go as a coach. I care deeply about all the kids that I've coached over the years, and I try to treat them all the same. It's it's a difficult task to really be able to treat them all the same. And Maddie was one of those difficult tasks that I had to try to make sure I treated her like everybody else because we did get very close, and it was probably um, the first time that I realized that we had a little bit more of a relationship than normal. I mean, I've had good relationships with virtually all of my gymnasts, but the first time Maddie slipped up and called me dad, I knew that that was kind of a I'm losing my thought for words, but that was kind of the stepping stone towards realizing, I guess, that our relationship was probably just a little bit different. Maddie also worked at the gym, um, and she was great with the kids. So we counted on her as an employee. She worked some of our classes. She worked birthday parties with my wife. Um, but being that we became friends as a family, we've also done some stuff outside the gym, whether it was birthday parties or just family parties and stuff that we would be invited to. That um, it just kind of really evolved into a relationship that I really didn't have with a whole lot of kids over the years to that extent.
Yeah, she had a lot of respect for you, Jim. And I remember at her senior banquet when you said that, you've had a lot of gymnasts come through your program and she wasn't the best gymnast you ever had, but I remember you said she was the best person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what, that goes back to her personality all the way back when she was a kid. Um, and I honestly really believe that she would have been a much better gymnast sooner if she would have taken care of herself more than she would worry about other people in the gym. And you know what? I've told you, Cindy, this story a number of times that um, I was very strict with all of the kids, and as long as we were working hard, we had a good time in the gym. And then when things weren't going so well, I'd get a little upset or a little heated once in a while, and I'd get on Maddie for something that I knew that she was able to complete, and for whatever reason, it wasn't getting done that day. And then when we go to the next rotation or next apparatus that we had to work on, she'd come up to me and ask me how my day was. And it was I wanted to strangle her a couple of times when she'd tell me that because I just got done riding her for not getting her stuff done, and she'd come over and put her arm around me and ask me how I was doing.
Yeah, she had a good way of disarming people like that. That's
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
well, you know what, I thought about that over the years, and I don't know if she did it just because she was really being genuine or she just knew how to get me back on track again. I don't know.
I'm not quite sure either.
you might you might have knew me a little bit better than I thought.
Maybe. I think she knew all of us a little better than we thought.
Right.
Well, you were with us the whole time, which I know is unusual. Do you can you share with us how you felt or what you thought when you first heard about Maddie's asthma attack?
Well, one of our other team moms that obviously is close to you, Deanna Harbeck, called me in the morning, and I was sitting right where I'm sitting right now when I got the phone call, and she had told me that Maddie had an asthma attack and she wasn't doing so well, and she was in the hospital. Well, obviously, I got concerned, and I pretty much dropped everything and rushed up to the hospital. But my knowledge of what her condition was she's in the hospital because she had a severe asthma attack. Other than that, I really didn't know the situation until I arrived at the hospital.
Yeah, and I remember that because you were the first person to arrive. I mean, you were with the nurses came in and they said, "There's someone here for you, a Jim," and we're like, "Oh my gosh, Jim's here!" And I mean, it was within an hour of us calling Deanna, so we were surprised, but you never left our side. You never left her side. Um, you were there for everything during the whole 5 days in the hospital. What were some of your thoughts during that time?
Well, my first thought when I got there, I was a little bit nervous because I obviously, like I said, I didn't really know how bad the situation really was until I walked in the room.
Yeah.
And when I did walk in the room, I saw her and I had to walk out. Um, and as you know, Cindy, I'm not an extremely emotional guy, but that kind of that hit me pretty hard,
Yeah.
and that's mostly um, obviously because our past relationship, and it was like seeing my own kid there, and I had no idea that it was as bad as it was.
Yeah.
So that part that part was really hard. When I did gather myself a little bit and walk back in the room, um, I still didn't really realize the extent of the issues that she had. Um, I was thinking that okay, you know, she's not conscious right now. She's got a lot of tubes and wires hanging off of her, but yeah, Maddie, she'll come back. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, it didn't work out like that. We waited for days. I was I appreciate it from your family's point of view. I was allowed to be there when they did the first cognitive tests on her, and
Yeah.
um, it was very clear to me. And I didn't really say a whole lot when I was there because it wasn't my place. But after that first test, um, I was still very hopeful. But it was a reality check that really came back to me, and
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you, but I really knew then that she probably wasn't coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Frank and I have had that conversation, and we said we kind of knew that first night.
Yeah,
You know, but we were there seeing everything,
yeah,
so it was different. It was different. So it was at that point, I think, after that first test, and then as we were moving toward the second one, because I think at that point, a lot of us were coming to that acceptance of reality
right.
that we had started having the conversation about her being an organ donor. Um, what were your thoughts at that point?
You know, my obviously I stood outside the room quite a bit, and then when you guys had to do whether it was meetings with doctors or stuff like that, or maybe you just went to go get a bite to eat or a cup of coffee, then I'd come in the room and sit with her while you guys weren't there.
Yeah.
But I stayed outside the room quite a bit, unless I was asked to be in there for her when you guys weren't. But when the idea of organ donation first came up, honestly, I wasn't surprised at all, and I knew that um, if she were able to speak, knowing the situation, There was no question. So it didn't really hit me as I was scared about it, or I was nervous for her, or anything like that. I just kind of said, "Yeah, that's
That's
if
what you
that's
would have
what you
wanted.
wanted, I get it. I totally get it."
Yeah. Yeah. And you did the honor walk with us too. Um, what was that like for you? I mean, I don't remember much of it, honestly, but
Honestly, Cindy, I remember every second of that honor walk.
really,
From the time she was wheeled out of her room, all the way down the hall, into the elevator, out of the elevator to the surgical um, room, that the elevator went down, and we went down several floors, and we got out at the I think it was a very lower, it might even have been the basement,
I do remember
if
it
I
felt like we
remember
went down
correctly.
very low. Yeah.
But that was probably the most emotional thing that I've ever experienced in my life. It was, I guess, leaving the room with her first. I didn't know what to expect. Um, so I was a little bit nervous. And then as soon as we pushed her out into the hallway, the amount of people that were standing in there and clapping for her and making gestures and stuff, it was unreal, just unreal. Um, I didn't know if I should have a smile on my face, if I should cry, or um, just I mean, there was doctors, nurses, janitors, you name it. Whoever was on that floor was a part of it, and uh, it was extremely emotional thing.
I don't even remember the clapping.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I think that's the first time we've talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
That's,
that'll be a day that I still remember being, and it still makes me very sad and very proud at the same time.
yeah, it's a good way to describe it, I guess. Yeah. Well, on a positive note, I you've honored Maddie at the gym, which is amazing because that was her home for pretty much her entire life. You put a mural up on the wall of her. How did that come about?
Well, there was a lot of talk about a lot of different things shortly after, uh, she made her donation, and we put her to rest about, how we're going to honor her at Wisconsin lacrosse. There was talk about, putting up a tree somewhere by the gym for her, or maybe doing a bench. And, all those things I think are really admirable. And, you know, if we were to put a bench outside the front door and it had her name on there, everybody be able to see it and everything. But um, being as close as we were, I just didn't think a bench would do it justice. Uh, we had friends that were obviously are very close to you, and they're close to me also. Um, that He's a tattoo artist, and he actually um, did some artwork that I've seen before, and we've been friends. And so I gave him a call and asked him if he would want to put a mural up of Maddie, because I thought it was something that um, not only would keep her presence in our gym and the importance of her in our gym, but a little bit selfishly, she's the first person I see every morning.
I love that.
And we with the mural that we put up, there's a story in a shadow box that we also put up with her grips and a leotard, and then the story. So, I mean, I see new people that come into our program all the time that are standing in front of the mural reading the story. So, um, it's been several years now that's been up, and there's people that are still reading that and still finding Maddie's story.
I love that. And I think anyone who's lost anyone, but especially, a parent or a pseudo parent, I mean, you just want people to remember your kid, and you've really helped us do that. Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you. And you're also working with us through our foundation, Mad Dog Strong. And we appreciate that. And do you want to just tell us a little bit about your involvement and what you're doing, what else you're doing to help keep Maddie's spirit alive?
Well, I do whatever is asked of me. Really, I'm on the board, um, but there's quite a few people on the board that have a lot of different attributes. Um, Technology wise, they have a lot of contacts with organ donation and things of that nature. People that are on the board that help a lot out with the Miles for Mad Dog and other stuff. Um, Cindy, as you know, I'm not very technical with some of these newfangled technology things that are out there. So I'm more of a hands-on guy. I help out a little bit with the garage sale stuff that we do fundraisers with. During our meet, we do a lot of things to fundraise during our competition that we host. Not only that, but during our competition, each session that we have, which we have anywhere between 8 and 12 sessions over the course of a weekend, Maddie's story is told briefly at least a couple times during all of those sessions. So we're getting the word out through our gymnastics to keep people aware. Because as you know, if that's not put out there often enough, it's forgotten. And these kids or even adults that have passed that are organ donors, they should never be forgotten because the person that gets the organs from these people that want to donate their organs, some of them are able to live a great life and they're appreciative, I'm sure, for their whole life, but not too many people hear about it. So it's important to me to make sure that what little that I have to offer for the foundation, that I do my little part to make sure that people learn about it.
You've done great work, Jim. And as we know, it only takes, reaching one person that could save multiple lives. And
Right.
I'm sure you've already done that. I mean, which is pretty amazing. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for really sharing your story. I mean, you told me some things today that I didn't even know. And yeah, that was really cool. Sorry for the tears, but you can imagine.
No,
You can
yep.
imagine. But thank you for being there for her, and thank you for being there for us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for letting me be a part of it. Obviously, we've been pretty close friends for a long time, and that doesn't happen in the gymnastics world too often.
No, it doesn't.
But I mean, I love you and Frank too, but Maddie's the one that brought us all together. So
Absolutely. We love you too. But yeah, it was all about her.
yep,
Thanks, Jim.
absolutely.
Do you have expertise or experience that might be of value to donor families and you're willing to share? Contact us for an exciting opportunity at Donor Family Care.